Thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. More in a minute. This, for 2024, is the new Mark Rober Hackpack 5 Polar Coordinates Zen Garden. To start the quirks and features, I want to start on the outside where we have this black box. It comes with a joystick, so you can draw your own designs, or with these 8 addressable LEDs, select a variety of program designs you can add to. These commands are sent to an Arduino, which does some math I'm not smart enough to explain, then passes those commands to the stepper motor boards. Finally, on the inside of the vehicle, Hackpack, we have a metal ball in the sand. These motors rotate a gantry underneath you'll see in the build section that changes the position of a magnet which pulls the ball. The magnet and ball move along their polar coordinates, which is the angle and distance from the center point. If you get your own, you'll find it's actually really hard to control this manually, at least for the first few minutes. As with all Hackpacks, there are a series of challenges you can do on your own, but the simplest and most entertaining for a few minutes was the idea that you can 3D print an enclosure for the ball. I don't know why, but I had Easter Island on the brain, so instead of an enclosure, I printed different sizes of these little guys to move around, which have a hole in the bottom that the ball fits in. It's just weird enough to get a small chuckle as it moves around the board. The kids did play with this for a bit, but after a few minutes, it was back to Christmas movies, so it's not that high on the fun scale, but I think it was a great way to learn about polar coordinates. Speaking of polar coordinates, I just learned what they were, and when I got this, I feel I know enough to be dangerous, so I'll share with you what I know. A polar coordinate is a position on a plane relative to a central point, also known as a pole, like the North Pole. The position of Santa in our example from the North Pole is expressed in radians and polar angle. The radians is the distance from the North Pole in a straight line. The polar angle is the degrees from a defined 0 that he is at. Polar coordinates are used in any problem where the direction and distance from a central point is important. And this can be extended into 3 dimensions, but I'm going to defer to somebody much smarter than me. This Hackpack builds like all the other previous Hackpacks where everything is in bags and organized roughly by object. I highly suggest a 1/4 inch hex bit to help because it takes quite a bit of effort to compress this foam and get the nuts on the bolts. The sand is sealed in its ring with that compression ring and a white gasket that covers the entire bottom. When that's built, the motors have their own housing with gears that will eventually work with the bead and in quotes chain, which I think is clever since nobody's going to maintain an actual chain. The motors are also offset on height because there's only one central point in the circle, so both larger gears need to be on a vertical axis on that single point. One gear will be spinning, moving a small gear that controls the radial distance that also has a magnet attached to it to grab and move the ball. The other gear will spin the entire radial control device so that we can change its angle, which is how we can change our polar coordinates. Using a wing nut, we can pull the motor housing back to tighten the chain and secure it when there's very little slack in that chain. In this Hackpack, we have an external box that has all our controls. We start with the stepper motor control boards, then attach our Arduino Nano. In this Hackpack, mine came already installed, which is new. Like with the label maker, we have a joystick, but this is new, a PCB with 8 individually addressable LEDs on it. I love using LEDs and have added these to the IR turret months ago, so I might sound a little excited here. Connect the right motor to the right board using the color-coded wires, dump in some sand, give it a wiggle, toss in that ball. You may have noticed this is the first Hackpack without a battery. Maybe that's because this is supposed to loop and run for a while, or it was to cut costs, or both. Either way, it's actually pretty disappointing since they're so small that I throw them in a bag and use them quite often when not plugged into the other Hackpacks. Turn it on and you can go left for manual mode, right to pick a pattern, which we'll go over in the coding section. First pattern is a simple spiral, and when selected, it homes for about 15 seconds, then slowly and steadily increases the angle and radius, resulting in a spiral. You can run this forever if your Zen takes a while, or just test it real quick like I did. I want to introduce you to PCBWay. They can take your idea and help you with custom PCBs, 3D printing, and CNC machining. They even have videos to help you get started. I've seen them used in many projects across the web and hope you check them out with the link in the description below. This review of the code will be at a little higher level than previous videos, and I'll zone in on the new class concept along with the bitwise operation for LEDs. With comments, there are almost 2,000 lines and some intense math, at least for me. If you want to be a developer or engineer, this is a good example of why you shouldn't sleep through any math class. First, remember this is a list of included libraries we're going to use, and it hides some of the magic that's probably over my head too. I recognize the fast LED and have used that in other projects as well. You will also see a list of constants like motor definitions. In this section, we define the various pins on the Arduino each device uses. If you compare these values against the pinout of the Arduino Nano, that should match, so this is good to know if you change the device in any way. Still, in the globals, we have different pattern methods that return a position when given the current position. We'll look at one of these near the end. If you want to add a pattern, you need to add a method definition here. A little further down, you can see we add all these methods to an array that will be referenced later. Again, add your pattern here too, or remove the ones you don't use. Still in the globals, now we can see the application state variables that control what we're doing at a given time. We can also see some custom math functions. When it comes to math, I was in Camp C's Get Degrees, so I'll defer to other mathematicians or engineers on how these get calculated. The first truly new concept in these hack packs is the class. The included files at the top are full of classes, but we can also define them in line, which we're doing for the LED strip. A class is an object that have variables and methods either available only within the class or available to anything looking at the class from the main loop, for example. First, we have a private section, which are things only available to methods within the class and cannot be called from outside the class, like, again, say from the loop. This array LED is private, so you would get an error if you tried to reference it outside the class's curly brackets. Next are the public definitions, which can be accessed externally from the loop, like I mentioned a few times now. First public method is the constructor, which always has the same name of the class, which is how the compiler knows that when the class is initialized, that is what we call. Think of the constructor as pre-work in that here we're setting up the LEDs with the fast LED library, setting the brightness, clearing them, and now the class and LEDs are ready to be used. The indicate pattern method is what displays as you pick manual or automatic. With manual, it'll set the first LED in the array to dark cyan, and that's it. And anything that isn't manual, like automatic mode, the LEDs will display the index of the pattern array in binary. Starting with 1, then 2, 4, 8, and continuing in powers of 2 up to 64, you can have up to 127 patterns. If you're feeling ambitious to get the index, you take each light, find the sum, so that index 3 should have 2 lights, a 1 and a 2. Now let's look at the bitwise shift left operation. This if statement starts with bitwise AND, meaning that for each bit in the byte, if both are 1, then return a 1 for that bit slot. Otherwise, return a 0 for that slot. The right side of the AND takes the binary value of 1, then shifts it left I times, I being the value in the loop. When you apply the AND operator, now you would get something like this. Fade pixels takes the current time in milliseconds and gets the division remainder or modulus of the current time in milliseconds by the length of the period. We also get half that since we first brighten the LED to max brightness in the first half, then dim it back to 0 in the second half. The map function here takes the time we're in the cycle, the start of the range, end of the range, then again another range. What happens is it'll find out essentially what percentage the time in cycle is between 0 and half period. Then we find what value that percentage is in the next range of 0 to max brightness. The homing sequence method will change the color hue and position each iteration of the 100 millisecond loop. Position is easy to understand since it's just an index, but hue is a little more to it. I found it's easiest to explain hue with Photoshop, so let's load up my ugly mug and take some hue adjustments. You can see as the value changes, there is a rainbow effect. Take that same concept as we increase the hue by 1 or 4. We progress through that rainbow a little further. The remaining code flashes green when homing is complete by setting the whole thing to a negative brightness. Not how I would have done it, but I'm sure there was a good reason. The setup method has a random seed for random patterns, sets up the joysticks, a lambda function for the joystick click, some stepper variables, and homes the machine. The main loop, if it's ready to run, first checks for manual mode. In manual mode, it reads the joystick position, returns a position object with the angular and radial values using the math within the position object class. Using those values here, it determines how many steps each motor should take, then ultimately calls the orchestrate motion method, with the ball's current position and target position based off the joystick input. The automatic mode calls the pattern array with a selected pattern index. We send the current position and it'll return the target position, which is also sent to orchestrate motion method. We'll look at the basic spiral in a minute. Last section of the loop is selection mode, where the motors are disabled and we update selected patterns as the joystick has an input. Bulk of the logic here is determining at what point the joystick should register an input. You can see in the read joystick method, it maps a value essentially up to 1024 to a -100 to 100 return value with some dead zone logic built in. Finally, looking at the simple patterns, a simple spiral, it ultimately splits a full revolution into 1000 segments. It takes the current position, adds values resulting in the target position. Further patterns do get more complex. Well, it's neat, but it probably will end up staying on the shelf with the other Hackpacks. I like that the standoffs and screws are plastic, and while the chances are 0 that I'll scratch a PCB or short anything, they're also much easier to strip. I love that this is their first time introducing you to LEDs, although they coded it in a way that isn't beginner friendly, and I think introducing bitwise operations was a little too much. There was some nice changes, but there are things I wasn't thrilled about as well. The ball and sand are in the open, so one stumble or careless 5-year-old, then my Roomba's eating good. I wish there was more sand, since it's impossible to get a perfectly level surface, and mine has a hump in the middle. I really wish there was a battery, because I use those quite a bit actually, and have a small collection going on. I guess this really isn't a robot on the move, but I would appreciate to have one included. All that said, the first few Hackpacks were basic, easy to learn from, and relatively easy to code for. While this was interesting, it was also more complex, and while everyone can enjoy it, I thought their target market was those learning to code and build, which this may stray from a bit.